Light as a feather, stiff as a board. Light as a feather, stiff as a board. We are the weirdos, mister.
Black as night, erase death from our sight. White as light, mighty hectate make it right. I myself am strange and unusual.
Cast a circle, spark some incense, and grab a cup of tea because it's time for the Cousins Coven podcast. I'm Sharon.
And this is Wendy. Welcome back to the Coven, you guys. We're so happy to have you here today.
Whoop whoop. And we just want to shout out our very first Patreon member, Swan, my BFF and supporter for life. Thank you for subscribing to us on Patreon. In case you haven't heard, you can find us over there for the Cousins Coven podcast after show, where, believe it or not, we give even more details and intimate secrets away and talk about weird shit as always.
Yes, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, I realize that we've been gearing up for Patreon the whole time that we've been recording episodes because we always have our own private after show.
Right, between just the two of us. So now we're essentially recording those moments because between the two of us, we'd always be like, man, that was a really good conversation. Wish we were recording that.
Yeah, exactly. So now we are.
And any contributions really just help us out in maintaining our websites and, supporting us doing what we love to do.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, come join our little community.
Yes. So I am just going to get right into it. I had this really beautiful, I don't know if you remember our Instagram follower, Mother Peridot.
Oh, yeah.
She's fucking amazing. So
shout out to you. We see you.
Yes. Amazing, Mom. So it was crazy because I know this, that we're always like a week ahead when we record. So like this isn't going to go out, or 2 weeks ahead, I should say. So this isn't going to go out until June something. And, but anyways, this weekend I had a Saturday night. I had a really hard time sleeping. And at first it was because like my husband had a hard time sleeping, so I could feel his vibrations. And so I was like, oh man, go to sleep, man. I need you to turn off your brain so I'm not feeling that. And then I was like trying to put my bubble up and it wasn't working because we're so connected. And I was like, okay,
and then you're just keeping yourself awake.
Yes, then I'm just keeping myself awake. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, the key is for me is that I have to stay awake so that he can fall asleep, because he can't go to sleep initially, I think, unless I am awake. It's really strange. Yeah, this weird, strange thing. So anyways, I'm awake and he falls asleep finally. And I was like, thank goodness. But then I could not get to sleep because I was in this panic mode that I feel these changes coming along. I feel like something was keeping me up because there's some great change coming in the world that I don't know what it is. And at first it scared me. And then I was like, no, I just need to roll with the punches. And then I literally only got a couple of hours of sleep, woke up and saw that Mother Peridot had posted the same kind of thing. And I was just like, whoa, either we're on the same wave or something really is coming. So I just wanted to remind everybody to kind of prepare for whatever might be coming over the next couple of weeks. Like, protect your space, protect yourself, and lean into whatever changes come rather than pull away. Sometimes when we lean into the change, which I know is fucking hard, but if we lean into it, we can accept it more. So whatever comes our way.
Damn, that's a lot to unpack, because at first I want to panic because you're telling me something bad is coming, but you're telling me something bad is coming in order for me to prepare.
Right.
So I gotta like calm it down. Among all the chaos that the world is going through, what more is going to happen?
Right. And that's the thing is, I don't know if it's bad. I don't know if it's good, but my initial reaction is to panic all the time when I feel a change coming. It's, oh my God, I'm going to panic. And I don't know if that's our human fight or flight mode. You know, we're always in that fight or flight kind of makes us panic in the first place. And so that's just ingrained in our DNA, I feel like. And so for me, I'm just like, oh no, I feel a change coming. It must be bad, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. I just know that something's coming. And of course, last time I said that, coronavirus happened. So
right.
Like, oh,
think it's pretty cool that you're saying you're connected to one of like our listeners, and or you guys are just feeling something.
Right.
I don't know if you looked into the planets or what's going on there, but it's I love how your mind works because you're always looking at the larger picture and trying to connect the dots. And I think that's really admirable, and I love that about you.
Oh, thank you so much. I do have to say, it wasn't just her, but I have a witch group that I follow on Facebook, a local witch group, and there were a couple people on there too were like, oh, some changes are coming. So I was like, I don't know what it is. Nobody knows what it is. But yeah.
How many nights ago was this again?
For me, it was 2 nights ago, Friday night.
Friday night.
I thought it was Saturday, but last night was Saturday, so it was Friday.
Yeah, I didn't feel the disturbance of the force. I again was just up playing Animal Crossing, so really just probably not open right now to anything like that.
Right.
Too many video games.
So it was 2:22, 2. Oh,
or 5:22.
Yeah, 5:22. 5:22 of 2020 makes it a 4-day. I don't know. Well, technically it would have been the 23rd in the morning because it was the middle of the night. So I don't know. Who knows? Okay.
I was like, are you going to break this down numerology live? I was ready.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't know if it was interesting or not.
No,
so it was like a 4 or 5, which to me could be, I've always thought that 4 and 5, which are my numbers, is great changes to begin with. So there are 4s and 5s have to do with change to me when I think of numerology, and also awakenings. So there may be a change coming spiritually. Maybe it's a spiritual
I'd love
change,
that.
Which would mean that we need to be ready to ascend when it's time. So if you are into ascension or don't know what ascension is, you should really do some research into that. But ascending just basically allows your spirit to grow, so that you can grow as a person and grow in your relationships and really immerse yourself into the experience that we have here on Earth. So that's what I think of with ascension.
That sounds like just a really good camping trip with some friends and family. That's all it takes.
Right? Yeah.
And a bag of shrooms, and you got yourself some ascension, baby.
Speaking of that, did you get the news article I sent you that said that it made it to the ballot for shrooms to become legal in Oregon?
I did. And then just to clarify, it was only with licensed professionals using it for therapy, I think.
Right.
For, I know, veterans and PTSD and things like that. So I don't know if it's only for depression. I need to go back and reread the link, but it wouldn't just be like, oh, you can go buy it at a dispensary kind of thing.
Gotcha.
It would have to be like given to you because you're going through some sort of therapy process, which is still a really good step. And we signed that petition.
Yeah,
we signed that petition in the day of the Women's March. And so it's gotten more than enough signatures that it's required for the minimum to even be looked at to be passed. So I'm glad that you were able to see an update on that. And I guess we'll see what ends up happening.
Right. It's interesting because I was like, well, that was the stepping stone for weed to become legal in Oregon too. So maybe that's all it will take. Yeah. That was not the news article I wanted to bring you.
Oh, yeah. No, it just happened to come about. Yeah. What news did you want to talk about today? I had one myself.
So good. So I had 3 actually. Maybe that's too much. So maybe I'll just break it down. But I don't know if you noticed this, and maybe you already saw it, but I guess they're coming out with these new Funko Pops based on, drumroll please, the Craft.
Oh my God. No, I haven't seen them.
Okay.
I wonder what outfits they're doing.
So Sarah, she's wearing like a green stripy. I'm posting a link on when I post the episode, so go ahead and look it up. But Sarah, she's going to be wearing like a green striped skirt, or they're all wearing the green
school uniform,
yes,
and they're all like sexy uniform girls. Okay,
yes.
Doggy's excited. She's barking. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So I'm looking at it right now frantically. I kind of do wish they had more personality in their outfits, but when I zoom in, they do actually have the t-shirts that they were wearing, like in the scene when they have their infamous slow-mo walk down the hallway. Like Sarah has the black vest and like a printed t-shirt. I remember when I wanted to cosplay her, I could never figure out what that t-shirt was. And then they all have their cute little outfits. Rochelle had the cutest one with the suspenders and the rosary beads.
Yes.
So could I see myself buying all 4 of these? I think I'm in a place where I have to say, no, I have to resist you, Funko.
I thought of you immediately when I saw them, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if Sharon knows about these.
I'm actually glad to know because they're super cute, and I don't think there's enough craft merch, but Hot Topic has been listening to the call, and I kind of watch them every couple of months and go peek over, and their craft merch and witchcraft merch in general has been growing. So I remember like a month or 2 ago, or I should say maybe like 6 months ago, I couldn't get anything craft related, and now they have like a bunch of craft stuff. So yay for the resurgence.
I'm excited. I'm excited about it. Love the witchy stuff.
I know.
You said you had a news. Oh, go ahead.
You got me talking about the craft and you expect me to stop.
I know. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I was just going to say, I wonder if the Craft remake has kind of halted since everything with Corona, no one's making movies anymore, or what's going to be going on with that.
Right. I was thinking about that with the Practical Magic. Remember, they were supposed to come out with a TV show
on HBO Max.
And so I guess that's still going to happen, but it's going to be a little bit longer before. I don't know if they said June or July, but I was like, that's not that far. It's coming soon.
Yeah, that's not that far. I really want to creep on who's been cast on that and see.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so I digress.
You know how I need it to be. Yeah,
exactly. What were you gonna say? I was gonna say I need hot people cast and this girl, the brother. He's my witch fantasy, but he's just like so beautiful and unintangible.
Right.
Okay. So my one news article is really just a mention, I think, of a crop circle. So the first crop circle of 2020 has been reported, and it was outside of Italy. And people who inspected it says there was no trace of passage in the field where it was discovered. And there were burn marks and traces of coil in the center of the impression. So I guess that is to be kind of like, oh, the craft took off and burnt the ground below. And as far as that goes, that's pretty much it. It is one circle of solitary by itself, nothing else, no elaborate design, nothing complicated to be interpreted as a message. And so no one knows who did it, but I'm pretty sure it's a human who made it. But these type of things tend to spark others to make them. So we'll see if like the rest of the year, if we can get some more crop circles to answer the call.
Wow. So if you think it's human related, I was wondering how big it was.
That is such an important detail that I don't have. And that's funny because it didn't even mention it in the article as far as I was aware. They just said that it was really exact. And I was like, well, it's a circle. Like,
Right.
But they don't have the diameter and the size of it. That's a great point. Damn it.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can find that out. If you want to mention one of your articles, I'll see if I can get that answer for you.
So a funny thing is that we had a message on Instagram, like literally right when I sat down to message you to record, from one of our listeners, and it's JP, and it made me think, wait, is this the same JP that we had questions from on our other episode? But it turns out we have 2 JPs who listen to us. I was like, what are the chances? So I just want to say thank you and shout out to you, JP New York City, on Instagram. And he sent me this article, or sent us this article, on a new UFO surge this past week in Brazil. And so they're orb-like UFOs. Also, this article is crazy because it lists like 3 different things. It lists orb UFOs that they saw this week. It has a video of somebody who saw a UFO that crashed, and then also a video or an image of something that was posted on Google Maps that looks like a UFO when you zoom into it. Mm-hmm. So I'll kind of cover just a little bit of each, and it's outside of this place called Mage, Brazil, which is kind of on the edge of a mountain. And so people are getting like Orb UFO videos. And then there was one video in particular that looks like a close up, and I'm not really sure what it is. I watched it like, I don't know, 10 times over and over again. And I don't know if you want to look at it to see what your take is.
Yes. So let me pull up the link.
Okay. So it's about halfway down the page. It's just that first video that says UFO Brazil Mage.
Where did it go? I just closed that tab thinking I wouldn't need it. And
Oh my gosh.
isn't that stupid of me?
Sorry.
No. I was like, why would I close that tab? In my frantic search for the size of the crop circle, which I could not locate, it doesn't say.
Ugh.
So I'm just going to say I don't know the size of that crop circle. And you said it is labeled Brazil, right?
Yes.
The third one down.
UFO, okay. The first one, the first video that you come to.
So people are convinced a UFO crashes in Brazil, and then it's going to be this first video.
First video, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and push play now.
Okay.
Looks like she's crawling.
I don't think she's crawling. I think she's on her hands and knees, which makes me think that the object is a lot smaller than, because if you see in the background of it, it looks like there's like maybe bushes or grass.
This just looks like a glass ball to me.
Okay. That's what I thought. But what was more compelling to me was the video that was underneath that. And that one just shows video of Orb UFOs. And that one was much more compelling to me.
Okay, this one below wouldn't play for me, the Twitter.
Oh, so that's the thing, is that these things are being posted on Twitter and they're being taken down. That was the thing that the article mentioned, is that anything that seems to be real has been taken down. And why would that happen?
So it just like adds to the lore of it all and the almost credibility.
Right. And so we don't know. And at the top of the article is this picture from Google Maps. So there is a link in the article. It lists it as Google Maps link. And when you click on it, it brings up these coordinates and it brings up this space. And so I don't know if you can see the link in the article, but you guys, it just says Google Maps link. Click on there, brings up these coordinates. And I know things on Google Maps can be kind of crazy. Like you can zoom in super far, or you can zoom in just far enough. But it looks like on the top of this house, a UFO is hovering.
I just thought that was like something someone plopped on there with like an editing tool. I thought that was just like an arrow pointing me to, although I didn't even take that as something that belonged. Doesn't that look like it's not even there?
Yeah, to me, I thought it looked like a reflection.
Right? Like just a beam of light?
Right, like a reflection. But why would somebody have a reflection coming off of their house like that? And then when you kind of zoom in a little bit further...
Wait, but it's on Google Maps.
I'm not sure. Yeah, but I'm not sure what I'm really looking at. It's strange.
It does look like someone just took clip art of a UFO shape, pasted it, and it's not even like hovering in a good way. I mean, I know there's been mistakes on Google Images before, and I'm wondering if someone who's familiar with the software or programs or technology could debunk this, or I don't know.
Well, Google claims that it's just the pixelization because there's something that's going on top of that house, most likely, that the Google camera cannot figure out, that it can't figure out. And so it's just placing something there. And so I thought, what is being reflected off of that house and what exactly is going on at that house? My mind was like, is there something bad going on in there?
Right. Like, what if it's just like a really intense pool party orgy for politicians,
right?
And they had to cover
or something.
It up.
Yeah, of course, my mind went to sex trafficking, which is horrible. And I was like, oh no, is that what's happening there? And they're having to block it out?
And it is a
Unblock that
really
shit.
remote property, it looks like.
Right. Very remote property in the mountain.
In Rio de Janeiro,
So,
Brazil.
yeah. So I was like, oh, shoot.
Okay.
What's going on there?
I like the mystery. I like the
Yes.
mystery of this.
Yeah. Thanks for keeping us thinking, JP. I really like that.
Yeah.
I had one more article, if you mind switching brains to ghosts.
Let's.
Yes, which is what we're going to talk about anyways today. So I thought it was a good tie-in. But New York Times put out this article that just says, do you believe in ghosts? It's an opinion paper by a student. And they wanted to know if other people are in their community or any community or just around the world believe in ghosts. And so I thought it was really interesting. The article is this interview with somebody who had an increase in activity with ghosts in their house during the coronavirus. And so I just wanted to read it really quick, their experience. This person, Adrian Gomez, lives in LA with their partner. And the first few days of sheltering in place for the coronavirus pandemic was very uneventful. They just were working remotely, baking, taking walks in the morning, doing some stuff around the house that needed to get done. But then in mid-April, something happened that they couldn't quite explain. So Mr. Gomez was in bed when a nearby window shade began shaking. And, initially you're thinking, is it an earthquake? What is this? And then he noticed that just one side of the shade was shaking, not the other. So he's like, well, maybe there's a bug. Goes over, looks, nothing, no creatures, no, it's not, there's nothing to really say what happened. And so he was like, okay, this is freaky. I'm going to hide under my covers in bed. I don't know what this is. And then other stuff started happening around the house. So they just weren't sure what was causing it. And so other people started mentioning that they too, during this coronavirus lockdown, have had an increase in ghost activity in their homes.
I've been seeing a lot of articles with that headline. And I'm wondering if it stems from us just being home more and knowing that there's weird stuff going on that we wouldn't notice otherwise, or are we just all losing our heads?
I think it's stuff that, to think about it in your regular day-to-day, when people are working 1, 2, maybe even 3 jobs, they might not be home. Going home is a place for them to sleep, and that is that. And so if you're home all the time, now you're hearing and seeing things that you may not normally see and hear. And those ghosts are probably like, what the fuck are you doing home?
Yeah, they're like, I thought this was my alone time and now you're never leaving.
Right, exactly. So I think it's very plausible that activity could be what seems like increased for the individual because they never see it.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But interesting, still the same.
Oh, yeah. For sure. I don't think I've had anything substantial like that. What about you?
No, not an increase. I feel like it's the same normal everyday activity that I would normally have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But you're obviously more open to it than most. So
Yeah.
Did you have another article?
No, that was it. That's
okay.
all I had for that. So
do you want to get into our main topic for today's discussion? Sweet.
Yeah.
So, here on the Cousins Coven podcast, you might have noticed we talk about Oregon an awful lot. So we're just going to lean into that today and talk about, some paranormal stuff on the Pacific Northwest. I think we're both talking about stuff in Oregon today.
Yes.
In general, since that's just our home state, loving it. So I don't know who wants to go first. We've got a ghost. We've got some folklores and legends. Yes. Where did you want to take us with this one first?
So I guess I could start us off by talking about the Bandage Man. So this is just this is straight out of Cannon Beach, which is kind of like on the northern Oregon coast. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's this small little town kind of set off and off the road.
I don't know if it rings a
And
bell. If there were tourist attractions, then maybe.
yeah, there's no tourist attractions really. It's just a small little place. A lot of people go there for art and things like that.
But Bandage Man sounds
Um,
disgusting. So please,
right?
what is the Bandage
Yes.
Man?
So apparently these stories started in the 50s, and um, it was basically teenagers would be making out in their cars, and then all of a sudden they would feel their cars start to shake and they'd hear hands hitting their car. Sometimes they'd notice a man in the back seat of their vehicle or the
What?
front seat of their vehicle or outside of their vehicle, and this man would just be covered in bandages. He's got yellow colored eyes, and as soon as it
Ew.
starts, it's pretty much over. Like it would start and then it'd be over, and they would smell like rotting flesh. But basically this man was just wrapped in bandages, and when he would disappear, a lot of times he would leave a bandage behind. And so the
This is
legend,
just getting worse and
I
worse.
know, right? You're like, ew, gross. So apparently this dude is supposedly the ghost of a lumberjack who died in an accident while working at a local lumber mill.
Well, why is he
And that
creeping on
just goes there.
teenagers?
I think it's a crock. I think it's to show, to tell teenagers to not make out and have premarital sex, because it started in the 50s and people have been saying it ever since in the area. And so I think it started from this and kind of maybe turned into a legend if enough people believed into it. So I don't know if it was a real true story or just a legend, like an urban legend.
If you open up your pussy, the Bandage Man's going to come out and get you.
Yeah, exactly.
Gross.
You're like, no, ew.
The imagery is so strong. Like, I can smell him and his nasty band-aids. I can see him and his yellow eyes. I'm not a fan.
Not a fan,
Not
exactly.
a fan of this. Next.
Next. I had some little stories out of Lincoln City if you want to talk about those, and then maybe you could do yours.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have these little ghosts in Lincoln City. It's just different ones. Well, I guess I should say Lincoln City and the little surrounding area. So that's kind of like the Siletz region. Lincoln City is my favorite place to go because you've got a little bit of the ocean, you've got a little bit of the shops. It's just my favorite place. And the first little one comes from the North Lincoln Fire Station. And apparently they have a ghost that sits around in their lounging areas that they have named Bob. And sometimes they find him sleeping on the couch, or they'll feel a cold spot, even though it's warm outside. And occasionally they've seen just the image of him riding along on the fire truck when they go out on a call. And I was like, oh my gosh, is that just a dead firefighter and he doesn't want to leave his job? So cute.
I love how casual they are. Like, yeah, sometimes we just see Bob. He just sits on the fire truck. And I'm always like, I need to know more. Is he a solid person? Is he just a white blob? Is he a black shadow person? Like, I want to know what they see.
I think it's somewhere between, sometimes they see him and he looks like he's a real person. And, you know, you can be taken aback if you see a real person that you don't know in a space that you're at work.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't had that happen, but I imagine I would be like, who the heck are you? But then just as soon as he's there, when he knows that he's caught, he disappears, is what they made it sound like. And then, you know, when he's on the truck, they just see him hop on and then he disappears. Okay. So I think he's just there. I think he must have been a firefighter in his real everyday life, and maybe he died and just keeps going back for more.
There's so many local businesses that have ghosts in Lincoln City, so I'm glad that you're tapping into this.
Yes, there are. Another one is the Wildflower Grill. They have a ghost there.
I've heard of this.
I love this place because they have amazing fish.
Okay, so we'll go there.
Good. Yes, we will go there. But apparently they have a ghost that they have nicknamed Matilda. She just knocks stuff over in the kitchen. Sometimes she goes by and she smacks people's butts.
No.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Matilda.
Just randomly smacks your butt.
Consent, Matilda.
Sometimes she opens and closes the door to the employee's bathroom. She's also just been seen walking like as a normal everyday person and then just disappears into thin air. That would be the one that I'd be interested in seeing right there. Just see her walking and then all of a sudden mid step just disappear.
I kind of want to get my ass smacked by Matilda just to like fulfill this ghost kink we've been trying to figure out since episode 1. You know, ghost sex, is it
Yes.
viable?
Is it viable? Could you do it?
I can't believe I didn't hear about that when I researched Matilda, because I saw this pop up too and I was like, oh, how charming. But my website said nothing about butt smacking.
Oh, yeah, butt smacking. I just love it.
Okay.
And another one is in the Siletz Bay region. People have seen a ghost ship. Now, I've been to Siletz Bay many, many times, never seen a ghost ship, but I do believe that it could be plausible because in that area, there is a jetty. I'm not familiar with the name, but it's just this like piece of land that kind of jets out into the ocean, and you can go out there and people go crabbing. But there have been a lot of ships over the hundreds of years, and the past 100 years, I should say, or maybe 200, that have gone down in that area, and archaeologists have found remains of ships there. So I do believe that a ghost ship could be plausible.
Yeah, I don't know if there have been any recent sightings, but this is another one I came across too. And it's weird because
very weird.
Yeah. What is that? A time slip, you know?
I think it could be. Yeah, it'd be
a memory.
I would think it would be. Yeah, or a memory.
Well, that's pretty cool. Did you have any other ghost highlights of the coast?
Just one.
Okay.
In Depot Bay, which is right outside of Lincoln City, there's this place called the Spouting Horn Restaurant. And there have been many sightings of a ghost that has become extremely angry. And apparently they have done a lot of, moving around of doors and walls in the building, as you do when you're taking a building and changing it into a restaurant. And I guess this ghost, he's seen in this one specific area where there used to be a door, and he just gets mad every time he walks around in there. Like he's going from one room to the next, because it used to be 2 different rooms and now it's one room. And I think he just gets angry going back and forth. And apparently a team of ghost hunters had caught him on camera going back and forth between rooms.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so they sell that merchandise there they sell that video there, I guess,
they sell it
little gift shop. Yeah,
you can't just put it online, please.
I didn't look for it, I have to say, because I was just like, oh, I'm just going to talk about it real quick. So
yeah, okay. Yeah. So we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
But that's cool. A lot of paranormal stuff going on the beach towns.
Absolutely.
I think that there's something about the beach that like holds on to the energy of the past, and those were places that like early Native Americans would gather to because there's like nice little watering holes and place to get fish and animals, and then white settlers came in and took over. So there's like all this history of different energies and spirits, and it just would make sense that they would dwell by the sea, like such a magical place in and of itself.
Yes, absolutely. I'm really excited to hear your story.
Yeah, let me get into it, because I am just going to go into my main one I looked into, which is Devil's Lake Monster, which I don't know if you heard about as a kid, but I mean, it's right outside Lincoln City or in Lincoln City. So very close for both of us. And if you went to the coast from Salem as a kid, of course you're going to Lincoln City. It's the closest coast. So the mystery of Devil Lake kind of remains unsolved, but the legend doesn't ever really die, and it seems to grow with each retelling. And Devil's Lake used to be known as Indian Bay until it was inhabited by an evil spirit. And the Siletz Indian warriors were mysteriously lost in the lake and taken by the lake, and that's kind of when the evil power was said to show itself to the people. And so Devil's Lake, it is, like I said, on the coast of Lincoln City, and it separates the northern part of Lincoln City from the central Oregon coast. It's about 1/3 mile wide and 3 miles long, and it's only like 21 feet deep. And there's this D River that flows from Devil's Lake to the Pacific coast. And it's one of the world's shortest rivers. And so some people think if this Devil's Lake monster is in fact a cryptid or a creature, this is how it got there. It was through that little short D River.
Oh, like he came from the ocean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And the formation of the lake was carved by glaciers during the last ice age. And the Native American name for the lake was Midiwakan, which is roughly translated to mystery or bad spirit, although some insist that it simply means sacred. And so when I read this, my witch brain was like, no, this is just people being scared of like Native American stuff or whatever and being racist or fearing what they don't know. So they're turning what's really cool into like evil. So I decided to look up the word myself, Midiwakan. And that like leads to the word Midawakatan, which means dwellers at the spirit waters. So I'm wondering, like, is this spirit really just a spirit and not really like, it's called a devil now. And that name didn't get its name until the 1800s after missionaries came in. And they said the word devil, and that's what they're going to label anything evil as. But as a pagan person, that's, something that happened to that culture. So I could see that happening to Native Americans as well,
Right.
So then this is kind of where I'm kind of wondering, is the Devil Lake Monster story bullshit? Is it true? Where is the truth? And so I searched on the Google until I could find a Native American telling of the story. So I'm hoping that this is, an authentic version of the folklore. It's like the oral tradition.
Hey, I'm excited.
Yay. So this was, I'm just going to read this retelling by Chief William Depot. And he told us during...
Oh, Depot Bay.
Nice.
Like Depot Bay.
I didn't even make the connection. And this was told during the second annual Grass Carp Festival in September of 1987.
Okay.
So, the Silt Indians were once fond of Indian Bay, or Devil's Lake as it is now known, before it became inhabited with evil spirits. They hunted their game in the nearby forests and made their home upon the scenic shores of the quiet lake. Their warriors, however, were lost to the evil spirits of the lake. As legend has it, members of the tribe used to meet on the shores of the lake during the moon of abundance to celebrate. Young braves would demonstrate feats of daring and strength to win the heart of the maiden of their choice. As the legend continues, a certain chief, Fleetfoot, despaired of winning the heart of the maiden he had chosen. In order to impress his young love, he dispatched his braves in the canoes out on the calm waters of the lake. Yet tragedy was awaiting the braves. As the moonlight shone down upon the serene lake, the waters began to churn and bubble. Giant tentacles emerged from the chaotic waters and wrapped around the startled braves and their canoes, pulling them down into the murky depths. The lake is quick to turn bad towards people, Chief William Depot said. Like a giant snake, it can raise up and pull beneath its surface whatever might be traveling across. In order to pacify the great devil, so the Indians could resume their peaceful existence on the lake, the Indians held great feasts and rituals on the shores of the lake. The drums vibrated, and the voices of the Indian people echoed their melancholy beat until the dawn broke upon the horizon. At that time, the devil was said to rear his ugly head, and then the sacrifice was made. It is unclear exactly what form the sacrifice took, whether it was maiden or beast, but the offering was the only method by which to satiate the hunger of the devil that inhabited the lake. Legend has it that the lake could cause bad things to happen to people. To avoid that, the Indian people would offer valuables to the lake before crossing it, Chief Depot said. In that way, they showed respect to the power it possesses. So, sacrifice, I'm wondering if it was more just like, here's some corn, here's some venison. I don't think they would be killing their own people, because that's the whole point of the sacrifice. So. Don't kill our braves.
Right.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What a fun story. I've never heard that story, so I'm really excited, and I appreciate this research that you've done.
Mm-hmm.
I love it so much.
There's one other famous addition to the tale that wasn't told by Chief Depot, but it's another common one I would kept coming across. That sometime after that incident, there was one summer where the lake had just dried up. And so there was like one little area that was kind of like an island or a sand pit in the middle. And one morning, the people woke up and they saw this strange creature just thrashing around, trying to get off of the dry land, like it got stuck up on there. And they say it's kind of like an octopus sounding creature to me, like a kraken. And they were so afraid to go near it because they're like, if we go near that, it's going to like grab us with its arms and not let us go and bite us. And so they just like watched from afar. They did not go towards it at all. And eventually it worked its way back into the water. So with all these weird stories, I'm like, is it an octopus? Is it a spirit? Is it a water serpent? And then, of course, the name devil makes me think of like a Christian devil. And that's what I thought as a child. I was like, oh, Devil's Lake. What does that mean? Is it like a weird devil dog like from Ghostbusters or something? So what is it?
I think, what if it was a giant squid? We do have quite a bit of giant squid off the Oregon coast.
No way.
So what if it was that? I don't know.
It surprises me that they didn't even want to go like kill it.
Right.
Like with a bow and arrow or something. I don't know. It's
just that when I think of Kraken, I think of ginormous. I think, not like anything tiny that we've seen.
Yeah, I honestly like that's more mythological name.
Right.
Of the beast. And then like I saw one article, I shouldn't say an article, it was actually just a blog, a person who was noting how many octopus artwork and stuff you can find around Lincoln City, and just like tying it all together about like why is there this weird octopus lore? There's never been giant octopuses here, but then you're saying there has been.
Squid. Well, giant squid. Yeah. So giant octopus, that's not too far off. I mean, an octopus lives in really cold water. The Pacific Ocean is extremely cold. So I don't know. I mean, I seem to remember something. There's this little place called the Hatfield Center, which is outside of Newport or in Newport, kind of under the bridge. And it's, which for those of you who know Newport has this giant bridge that goes over the bay from one side to the other. It's fucking scary to drive over, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't like bridges.
And, but anyways, the Hatfield Center is a marine center where they do research on different local animals. And they do have many octopuses in there and a lot of information about what has lived on the Oregon coast in the past. I seem to remember there being a giant octopus.
Okay. So
yeah, I seem to remember there being something about that in that museum. So to me, I guess it could be a giant octopus. They do exist.
Yeah, I went back and forth. Like at first I just thought this is just a bullshit story. Nothing was there. There was just some sort of tragedy, and maybe like it's cooler to tell people, oh, a beast killed everybody. But then finding Chief Depot's telling, I'm like,
yeah,
it makes me think, okay, well, maybe there is something to this. So I don't really know. And they actually have little festivals to this day, kind of in honor of that at Devil's Lake. So every summer you can go and there's like this little Native American like market and festival kind of thing going on. I think that's kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah. The Siletz Indians there. I actually know 2 people who are a part of that tribe. So I didn't even think about asking them. So, but yeah.
Yeah. How is it taken within the tribe? I wonder, is it taken as just like a story or beyond that? So if we have any listeners that know, let us know, email us. But I was able to see that like recently, maybe 2013, if I'm not mistaken, there was concern that like the story of the sacrifice is going to put really bad stigma on the Native American people and the
Right.
Silts tribe and everything. So they had this art installation added to the Devil's Lake like park area. It's called Sparky,
Mhm.
the Wish Guardian, which is just such a silly name, but it's like this really sweet, chubby, almost Funko Pop looking dragon that's just made out of
Mhm.
like steel, and he's there so that you can kind of like make a wish to him. And somehow they thought by like adding this little creature to the Devil's Lake atmosphere would break the stigma of evil monster and
Right.
sacrifices. But I'm just like, honestly, you're just kind of convoluting the story more. Like, what does Sparky have to
Right.
do with anything? Who's
Right.
this guy? But nevertheless, if I saw that in the park, I'd be excited. Who doesn't want a dragon? So
Right. Exactly. Oh, wow.
yeah. So that's that legend.
Interesting.
Kind of curious to know what's the energy like, if there was any negative spirits who would just fuck
Mhm.
with people there, what was going on.
Right. Exactly. I mean, you've been to Devil's Lake, right?
Yeah, once as like a kid.
Oh, okay.
Been a long time we went there,
Mm-hmm.
camped around the area. So I just had
Mm-hmm.
a really
Mm-hmm.
fun time camping, but I don't remember any kind of dark, sinister energy. Other than the fact that my
Right.
brother's pissed on the side of the tent, which I was just like, there's so many other places you could have done that. Why are you pissing where we sleep? So,
uh, brothers.
brothers. Yeah.
Uh,
But what
uh.
about you and your legend or story?
Okay, so my story kind of centers around the Van Duzer corridor, which is that strip of road that gets you from the valley over to the Lincoln City Highway 101 kind of coast area. And so Van Duzer corridor, I I mean I've driven down there many of times. Never really knew any of the legends other than to know that once I even as a child, as soon as we got into the corridor, I was amazed at how beautiful it was. Also, there's all these trees and this strange feeling. I have always, ever since a child, always had a strange feeling in that area. Not sure why. So it's interesting to find this information that there are tales of stuff happening there. And I don't know. When's the last time you've been over to that area? A while?
So I was wondering if it's just is this just the road to the coast that we would always take?
Yes. Yeah. That Highway 22 that goes from the coast over
Okay.
there. But once you get to a certain part, there's all these trees and it starts getting darker.
Uh-huh.
And there's a river along this side where people go fishing. And then there's these off roads that you can drive up and go into.
I think that if we're talking about the same thing, that was just like maybe November, December.
Okay.
Like I went to Nescoin, so I didn't go all the way to and then to Lincoln City.
Mm-hmm.
So, or I guess
right.
Lincoln City to Nescoin.
Right.
So yeah, what's going on with this road?
Yes. So that area, people apparently at nighttime, which I have experienced this a couple of times, they will see strange lights coming from the trees. And they're usually in the shape of like orbs. So me personally, I just always thought, oh, maybe there's people camping out there because you do have the ability to go camping along the river because there's a river there.
That road is so winding and dark. I could never drive that at night.
I don't enjoy it, but I've driven it so many times. I don't mind driving it at night, I guess. Well, sometimes. People have said that they believe that these have to do with UFOs. Another thing that happens is that people will be driving down the road and they say that it feels like somebody else is trying to take over control of your car. This I have never had happen to me, but I do believe that that road gets a little bumpy in spots and it can make you feel like your car is being taken over. There is this one part of the road in the corridor that has to be rebuilt year after year because it keeps deteriorating, and they it's because it's kind of like a bridge over water and they cannot get it straight. And so this area, there's been many wrecks and deaths, and people do say that they have seen ghosts in there, in that area, which is very plausible to me since there have been a lot of deaths in that area. Another thing that I didn't know was that apparently there is a building, a government facility that is up there. And it's an unmarked building, but it is government, and it says no trespassing.
Okay, whoa, what's happening there?
Yes. So it's in the kind of Mount Hebo area, which is in the Van Duzer corridor, just up in the mountain. And it's owned by NORAD and USAF, and they're looking for craft that should not be here.
How come you don't want to say the word UFO? They won't say it?
because they don't say that. The USAF and NORAD, they're looking for enemies. Okay. So they're thinking
in Lincoln City, Oregon.
Yeah, in the mountain. And I'm like, that's crazy to me. Why would it be there of all places? Why wouldn't it be like in Portland or in a large city? But they have this small base that's there. And I was just like, okay, whoa. I had to really take a step back, because there are all these roads on the side that you can go up. And when I was a child, you used to be able to drive up in those roads. And I know that my dad used to take us up there on some of those side roads, and we'd only go so far. He didn't ever want to go deep into the wood. And I don't know if that's because he knew something or he didn't want to get lost.
This is where you're going to dig up some repressed memory of him dropping you off at the government facility and them conducting weird psychic experiments on you.
No.
Okay.
No.
Fine.
But I do remember going up there, and because it's in a mountain, in the middle of summertime, it's hot in the valley, and you go up into the mountain, it's a lot colder. So I do remember it being cold. I remember one summer seeing snow up there as it was 100 degrees in the valley. So, that's awesome. But I don't remember seeing government facilities. But nowadays, you can't drive your car up there. I think it started in the early 2000s. They stopped letting people drive their vehicles. You can walk up there and you can hike up there, but they don't allow people to drive up there. And I don't know if that's for safety reasons, like they were afraid people were being taken up there and doing drugs or getting raped or catching cars on fire, or I don't know the reasoning
lawless
behind it.
Town up there.
I don't know what the reasoning is behind why they blocked the roads off, but it makes me think, if this base is up there and people are seeing UFO activity and there's ghost activity and paranormal activity in the mountains, what's actually going on up there? I was like, Sharon, do you want to hike with me up there?
I'm so afraid of messing with any of this. You just said there could be rapists and car burners. I don't want to go.
I'm just saying, I don't know if that's why they blocked it off, because they were afraid people were going to be raped up there. Like, if you're out on a date, could somebody drive up on that mountain?
This is not what I was expecting. I thought there were ghosts, and now you're telling me we have UFOs.
There are ghosts, but there's also UFO activity,
wow.
Which led me to this other article. And there's another mountain kind of right outside Dallas, Oregon, outside Falls City, called Laurel Mountain. And I don't remember if you know this, but a year ago, or maybe it was over the summer, they had a fireball that they lost over Laurel Mountain. Like, there was a fireball that came down from space. It wasn't a meteorite. It looked like a craft, and it fell onto Laurel Mountain.
That just sounds like some old folk song. That's amazing.
Laurel Mountain?
Well, the sunball landed on Laurel Mountain. Like, all of it's combined.
Right. So this Laurel Mountain is actually owned by, it's like 40 acres. It's owned by Weyerhaeuser Paper Company. And that, I've been up in there before. And people have always said that there's strange lights up there, but I've always thought that it had to do with Native Americans. I never thought it had to do with UFOs, because one summer, my sister and I, we were just joyriding, finding, we were finding, this is so funny. I can't believe I'm talking about this. We were finding cemeteries to go to, and I was just following my instinct. She was having me kind of hone in on my abilities. So we would take these drives around, and I wouldn't know where a cemetery was, but I would find a cemetery.
Oh my God, that is so cool.
Right. So we were driving this one summer, and it was outside Falls City. And I all of a sudden found us on Laurel Mountain. And I drove up, and I started seeing all these, like, it was like a logging road. And I was like, maybe we should turn around. And I was like, no, wait, I have to follow my instinct. She said, just keep driving, keep driving. And I'm driving this freaking mom minivan in the mountain. And I found it. I found a circle-shaped cemetery. And it was ancient, old.
What?
There weren't even dates on the stones, but it was definitely Native American. There were wood cutouts kind of surrounding the cemetery itself, and it said, welcome to the cemetery. And we went in and we looked around, but we didn't stay long, because I started getting a really strange feeling, and it was unnerving. So for me to find out now that there's a government facility up there, there's other UFO activity, there's all this stuff going on, it makes me want to explore it in person a little bit more.
Oh, that unnerving feeling wasn't enough for you. You want more?
I want more. I need to know what it is. I need to know.
I wonder if that was just like a sacred place, and they were like, who are you guys? You do not belong here.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Wow. Well, that sounds like a really fun adventure, and like a superpower that you're just able to hone in on cemeteries. I used to do like fun things like that too, where we would just, me and my girlfriend Swan, our patron, wanted to go find ghosts, and we just were like, well, let's just go to cemeteries, and we would just go to cemeteries, and that used to be just like a fun summertime activity.
I love that. We should all go do that this summer. If the world allows us to, we will be doing that. I would love to have Swan come with us.
Let's, just bring the kiddos.
Yeah.
Have a stroll through the cemetery.
I mean, my kids used to love it.
They are usually calming and beautiful, except for apparently ones that you just find next to government facilities. So
I am just amazed that that stuff is all up there. I guess I'd never really heard about it at all growing up, and I don't know if you did either.
No, not at all. Not at all. I was more concerned about like, when are we getting taffy? We're going to the beach. I didn't have any idea about that.
Yeah, I was always thinking as a child, are we going to get to go out to eat, or are we bringing sandwiches? I need to know this.
Well, and those roads are also like unassuming, because they're just full of like nothing, and then like a rusty truck, or like a bunch of rusty bikes. Like there's nothing really going on, except for I guess when you start turning into those side streets and those little like homes and things like that. I guess there's secrets beneath. Mm-hmm. Is this the Hellier of the coast?
Maybe. I do know that also there's this little lodge, Rose Lodge, in the Van Duzer corridor. Mm-hmm. And back there behind the lodge is a ghost town that had been flooded out many, many years ago. And so now you can maybe find just a couple of buildings in there. Mm-hmm. But people say that they do see ghosts in that area.
Cool. Oh, is that open to the public?
Yeah, that's all open to the public, so we could easily just drive in there.
That's fun. Yeah. Is there? So you said it was flooded out. Do you know if there's any structures left?
Yeah, apparently there's still just a couple of buildings.
Oh, that would be really fun.
Mm-hmm. I think I've driven there not that long ago, maybe within the last 5 years, and you can just drive in there. I did see just a couple of, buildings that were extremely deteriorated. It's kind of sad to think that, I don't think anybody lost their lives, but it's sad to think that a town that once was is no longer there.
I really don't think that should be a place we should go. Add it to the list.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
All right. Anything else for today?
No, that's all I have. What about you?
I think
Are you excited to travel the Oregon coast?
Yeah, I want to go see some ghost town. I want to have a photo shoot near the ghost town buildings with you, and we'll dress like we're in the craft with like our 90s long floral skirts and leather jackets. It's going to be great.
Yes. And there are other places too that just have small little ghost activity. I'm like, we're definitely going to go eat at the Wildflower Grill.
Get our butts spanked.
Yes.
I'm down. And we'll try to get to the bottom of this Devil's Lake, figure out if it's an evil spirit to appease, or maybe it's just a spirit in general. Try to figure it out.
I've never felt anything bad at Devil's Lake. I've just always felt calm and serene.
Yeah.
And seen the beauty of it.
I wonder when this festival goes on and if that's a market we can end up going to whenever that's going down.
I think it's in June usually, but I don't know if they'll have it this year because of what's going on.
Right. We'll see.
So, yeah.
Okay, today I think we're going to go record an after show. If you'd like to join us for some more conversation, you could always sign up for our Patreon.
Yes.
But until then, you can see us hear us next Wednesday for another new episode of the Cousins Coven podcast. Don't forget to check out our blog, cousinscoven.home.blog. You can go there to listen to EVPs, sign up for our newsletter, read some blogs, all that good stuff, and send in your emails to cousinscoven2@gmail.com. If you have questions or research suggestions, we love hearing from you guys.
Yes, and may you find happiness in your heart, love for yourself, and join each other. Blessings to all.